Coming up on Believe in Bears with Joey Christopoulos and my co-host, former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. We're going through the Bears' schedule, wins, losses. We're making our predictions here today, so stick around because we're going to do that in about 30 seconds. But first, we got to talk about our presenting sponsor. It's BetOnline.ag. Look, they remain the number one source, and it's the NBA playoffs right now. So all the futures, all the odds, the latest betting options, you got to head over to BetOnline.ag. They also got your favorite casino and card games, so what are you waiting for? Head on over there right now and use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That is only at BetOnline. BetOnline, where the game starts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into the show. Whether you're listening on the BLEAV Sports Network, Sirius XM, or whether you're watching us right now on Sports Talk Chicago, thanks for coming back. We got a fantastic episode where we're going to go through wins and losses of the Bears schedule. But first, I got to bring in my co-host. Let me get this right. He is Fox 32's very own. He is CHGO's very own. He is the co-owner of The Opening this very week in the inaugural West End Golf Course, and also now a member of the Inside the Big Ten Network. Am I missing anything? It's former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. What's up, Corey?
What's going on, Joey? Big weekend for West End Golf Club. You know, you told me it seemed like yesterday, but it's been a long process, right? You know, from the rehab to permits, construction. You know how it goes. It's always more expensive than you think, and it takes a lot longer. But we're here at the finish line, have the opening on Saturday. I'm excited. All my boys from Northwestern are coming. It's going to be a good event, man. Anybody in the New York City area, North Jersey area, come through West End Golf Club, 118 Jackson Ave in Rutherford, New Jersey. Come check us out. In my opinion, I've been to a lot of simulators, and people will say I'm biased. I'm not. This is the best simulator that you have ever been to, that you will ever go to at West End Golf Club. I promise you that. The Unicore technology is unreal, Joey. It's the only simulator that shows you a live action shot of your club face on impact. No other sim does that. Game changer.
Unbelievable. And they're giving away stuff for free during the inaugural weekend, so make sure you come and check it out. And dude, you can be biased. You go to tons of those simulators all the time, so you're kind of like a connoisseur, a sommelier, if you will, and you've taken all the favorite things that you like, you've improved the things that you don't like, and you've put it all into West End Golf Club, man. And it's happening, dude. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Congratulations.
I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for that. And then I'm excited for the Bears schedule, man. It got released last week. There's a lot to talk about, right? We got wins and losses and what have you, but it's going to be an exciting season. I'll tell you what, there's going to be more wins than last year. I'll tell you that, Joey.
Hey, look, some really interesting primetime games. We can get into a little bit as we go through game-by-game schedule, but you also kind of notice, the Detroit Lions, the class of the NFC North this year. Well, the Chicago Bears have plenty of extra time between those two matchups, and actually they did the numbers. The Chicago Bears have the most time, the most rest, week to week, in and out throughout the entire season. Maybe that pays dividends for the Chicago Bears. So, Corey, what are we waiting for, man? Let's dive right into it, man. We're going to do two things. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to get your thoughts, Corey. We're going to predict a win or a loss for that week. And we're also going to do something else, because once we get to the NFL season, this becomes paramount. Each week, we're going to go into it, and we're going to say to ourselves, who has the better quarterback in this matchup? Is it ours, JF1, Flight JF1, in this particular matchup, or maybe it's the other quarterback at the time? And we're going to weigh those options a little bit, because it's a quarterback league. And if you start to stack it up, I think we're going to be a little surprised that Justin Fields might have the edge over some of these guys in some of these matchups. And maybe that's going to lean towards some more W's. So, Corey, week 1, the afternoon game, Bears, Packers at Soldier Field. It's September. The weather is going to be beautiful. We're going to be frothing at the mouth. What say you? What do the Chicago Bears do week 1 versus the Packers?
Oh, this is a bona fide win. Aaron Rodgers went up to New York. He can come by West End if he wants to. He's a big golf aficionado, right? He's out of the NFC North. This is an easy win. I tell you, Justin Fields is really going to shine in this one. Luke Getsy said he's leaps and bounds of what he's been last year. Finally got the number 1 receiver. We got this revamped offensive line. I think the pass rush will struggle at times, but I know the run stopping will be there. I think this is an easy win for Chicago, and this is where you set the tone. Now that Aaron Rodgers' reign is out there, him and Brett Favre were terrorizing the Bears for years. They're gone. They're not there. Now it's Justin Fields' reign. Let's get it, baby.
New era, week 1, Packers 1-0 versus Jordan Love, all time, 1,000% winning percentage. Look, man, I'm with you. I'm also going with a W here, and I think this is a great matchup for not just the Chicago Bears, but for Justin Fields, the Justin Fields era, to not only just come in there and beat the Packers. We all love doing that. But if you're going to, not to step on the tease of my schedule here, but I think the Chicago Bears team, the key to the success is playing well at home. This is a great opportunity to be a tone setter against NFC North opponent. They were 0-6 last year, Corey, versus the NFC North. I think that's going to change this year, and it starts with the Bears versus the Packers. I'm feeling win here too as well. And Corey, I'm going to just say it. Justin Fields, clear advantage over Jordan Love. I think he gets the quarterback advantage in this one for sure.
I think Green Bay isn't going to love him. I think they're going to hate him. So they're going to call him Jordan Hate at the end of this one.
I haven't heard that yet. I love that.
Had to get him with that one. But yeah, just Justin Fields, I'm excited for him, especially in the opening game. The rivalry there. I know it's going to be a little weird with Aaron Rodgers not being there. But I think this is a great game for him to really show how much he's improved from last year to this year, and especially with the offensive line and the weapons there to really showcase his talents and show that he can be a top five quarterback in this league.
And maybe a cherry on the Sunday for a young ascending defense to play a young, hopefully not ascending quarterback. Also can get them, in the right mind frame, the right attitudes. Will step out of there week one. Week two, Corey, we're moving on. They go down to Tampa Bay in September to play a Buccaneers team that I don't think people have a lot of expectations for. It may or may not be Baker Mayfield at quarterback. But again, those games in Florida in September can be a little tricky, can be a little sneaky. What do you have for Bears Buccaneers week two?
I got a Bears with a win on this one. I think the edge is Justin Fields in the offense, right? You look at last year, how many games they were into down to the wire against really good opponents. I think they're going to be able to close a lot of these games. And like I said, defensively, it's not going to be pretty with the pass rush at time. I think they're going to dial it up with the talented linebacking core. But one thing for sure, Eberflus and company and Alan Williams, they're going to make sure that run is stopped, right? So they got three new defensive tackles, right? Justin Jones as well. So I think they're excited about their run stopping ability. Pass rush is going to be a question mark, but no doubt they're going to stop the run. And I think this is another win. They start out the season 2-0.
That's a great call. I was thinking about that too as well. You get that thing of the humidity in September. The Bears are going to be obviously in game shape, but it's just a different mentality when you go down there to Florida. But I have questions, right? Is Rashad White going to be the bell cow in Tampa Bay? Do they have their running back room really put together? And do they have the quarterback that's going to have the defense off the sniff of a running game to be able to balance that out? I doubt that. I'm going with the win here too as well. We'll see what happens come September. I'm probably maybe going a little bit maybe on the points under on this one. But again, I'm also giving the advantage to Justin Fields. Justin Fields, again, now is the better quarterback in the first two matchups of the first 2 weeks of the season. So, so far, the Chicago Bears, 2-0.
Oh,
Keep in mind, they were 2-1 last year, Corey.
exactly.
And
And
then
then only one win after that.
things happen. So, having said that, let's move on to week three. Look,
Dun, 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 dun.
there's a shark in the water here. Look, I haven't found anyone or any pundit that says the Bears are going to win this week three game. They're playing at Kansas City. It is going to be an afternoon game. The Kansas City Chiefs fought very hard to keep this game not in Germany. It is going to be in Kansas City, so all the Bears faithful can come out and hopefully support. Great barbecue that weekend. Are we going to see great results in the football field, though?
I think we'll see a great performance from the offense of Justin Fields, but I think Patrick Mahomes in the offense is going to be too high power for this defense. The lack of pass rush at times. Mahomes, he can get the ball out quick. He has Travis Kelsey and company. I just think this is too tough of a matchup, especially at Arrowhead. That's a tough place to play, man. They get that crowd rocking. So I think ultimately it's a closer game than most people think. I think within a score. But I think Patrick Mahomes and the defending world champs get the best of the Bears. But this is good experience for Justin Fields and that offense going on the road in a hostile place. And I think he comes out with a good performance.
Yeah, just a quick follow up on this one. Just first blush, this is May, so don't worry about anything. We talk a lot about the defensive line. This feels like one of those ultimate tests for a young secondary. The Jaquan Briskers, the Kyler Gordons, hopefully a Tyreek Stevenson as a starter. Um, you know, Early on in the season, do you think that is something where, if they kind of have a rough afternoon, they can learn from it early enough in the year to be able to kind of build off of that and maybe turn this into a learning experience that actually helps them later in the season?
I think so because going against a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he's going to hit you with all types of things that other quarterbacks don't always do, right? He's going to be looking this way, then go across the field. Like he's going to make those throws that are unbelievable, those highlight reel type things. So going against him is only going to elevate your competition. So I think it's a great learning experience, especially for this defense to go against arguably the best in the league. So there's always lessons, especially when people say, oh well, law. You got to get something out of that loss, and I think this is a great learning experience for the defense to go up against one of the best and arguably one of the best tight ends to ever play the game, Travis Kelce. So it'll be a good matchup, especially for those talented linebackers. Um, how they cover him, what's their game plan for
Yeah.
them? Because going forward, every really good team has a dominant tight end, and there's none better than Travis Kelce.
Like, even if you lose the game, can you imagine a scenario where maybe in the third quarter the Bears are battling, they're down a little bit, but Tyreek Stevenson picks off Patrick Mahomes? I mean, what can that
That'll be
possibly do?
huge.
What can that possibly do, even if it's not consequential to the game? What can it possibly do to their season? So we haven't met 2-1. I think we both have the quarterback advantage. We got two Justin Fields quarterbacks advantage. We got one. Obviously, we're giving that to one to Patrick Mahomes. I'm really curious to see what your take is on this next one, because this one I had to think about a whole lot. I think this is definitely a toss-up game. The Bears hosting the new look Sean Payton Denver
Yeah.
Broncos at Soldier Field, beginning of October. Corey, I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna front this one. I got this one as a loss. What say you?
I got this as a win. I think if they were in Denver, I think that'd be a win for Denver. But I think playing at Soldier Field, I'm not really sold on Russell Wilson right now. I know he's coming off a really bad year. I'm just not sure how his confidence will rebound. It'll be interesting to see week 1 and 2 how he really goes through things, how he is under that Sean Payton offense. But it could work out. It could be a blessing for his career. But right now, I'm not sold on him. I don't believe that locker room really fully buys into him. Guys yelling at him, teammates on the defense yelling at him. So I have to see, right? And at this point, from what I saw last year, obviously this could be a completely new Russell Wilson that we see this year. But I'm not sold on him, especially playing at Soldier Field. I think Justin Fields has the edge in this one. I think it'll be a close one.
Yeah, I definitely think that is completely plausible. The reason why I went with the loss is I'm just trying to protect my heart a little bit. One, two, if Sean Payton is going to have this effect on the Denver organization, I think we're probably going to see it earlier in the year. Get off to a great start. Maybe he's dialing up a couple of plays. And I am asking myself if there is a situation where Russell Wilson might be have an opportunity to have a strong game. It could be on third down against a younger secondary and maybe a defensive line still trying to figure out maybe it's rotation or some guys that are still trying to make their way. So I am going with the loss in this one. But Corey, just really quick, I am giving the advantage to Justin Fields in this quarterback matchup. I know Russell will be a Hall of Famer. He's got Super Bowls. But right now, today, looking forward, I'm giving Justin Fields the advantage in this one. Do you agree with me on that?
No, I agree with you. I think he's really going to surprise people because if you look at it, you look at the comments, you look at the commentary from guys like LaShawn McCoy, really hating on Justin Fields, saying he's a bona fide running back. If you look at the tape from college, uh, he was a drop back passer. He was forced last year to do it because of the offensive line situation, lack of weapons. Now you finally got him the number one receiver. You got him the offensive line. There's no excuses at this point. So if Justin Fields has a bad season, you have every right to get after him and critique him the way you want to. But I know he's a competitor, and I know when he could be a drop back passer. Obviously, he uses speed, but when I imagine him to be a better version of Jalen Hurts, and that's not taking anything away from Jalen Hurts because I love what he's been able to do. He's arguably a top five quarterback in this league. What
Mm-hmm.
he's been able to do for Philly, but I think Justin Fields' ceiling is way higher than his as a passer can run faster. There's nothing that Justin Fields cannot do. It's now about understanding how to read the opposing defenses, right? And it makes it a lot easier because you look at what happened when they brought in AJ Brown in Philly, right? It made it that much easier for Jalen Hurts, just like DJ Moore coming in. And then you add Tyler Scott as well. So you got a receiver room that can get it done now, right? You got Robert Tonyan, you got Cole Kmet, you got guys that can catch the ball in the red zone. I think all the pieces are there, and I think Justin Fields is really going to flourish. And I think people are going to be very surprised. And I think they're going to say, "Well, you know what? They gave him this and they gave him that," and then, they'll make up excuses why he's doing well. But the thing is, very few quarterbacks in this league can play well without talent. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is one of the only ones to really be able to do that consistently. And
Yeah.
even on the years when he doesn't have that talent, he throws what 29 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. They say it's a down year for him, right? So I think Justin Fields is really going to flourish, and I'm excited, Joey. This is the most excited I've been for Bear season since I played. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be an awesome season. So I have them as 3-1. You have them as 2-2
I got
at
them
this
at
point.
2-2, heading into Washington for Thursday night football against the Washington Commanders. This is Revenge City for me. Um, I know it's a road game. You got them 2-0 on the at home right now. You got to take care of business on the road. I think this is one of those road pickup wins for the Chicago Bears. Again, who is the quarterback for the Washington Commanders? Is it Sam Howell? I give the advantage completely to Justin Fields, which means for the first 5 matchups this season, I think the better quarterback on the field will be Justin Fields. I got them winning to go 3-2 here. What say you?
Yeah, I got them winning to go 4-1 right here. I think it's the quarterback advantage. I think it's a bounce back from last season. They have a really talented defensive line, so it'll be interesting to see, right, how this revamped offensive line handles them. They have Sweat and Company, Pay. Who else they got? Jonathan Allen as well. So they have a lot of talent up
Yeah,
front.
Chase
So
Chase Young for now.
Chase Young, right? Chase Young as well. So yeah, I think he's been an afterthought. Even me, I'm thinking like he seems like he's been hurt for 3 years, but
Yeah.
now they're saying he's healthy. So that's a pretty talented defensive line right there. You got 4 guys that are really capable of Pro Bowl caliber, especially if Chase Young is back. So it's going to be a great test for all that offensive line, especially Washington is a hard place to play. That crowd is rocking as well on a night game where everyone's watching. So I really like that matchup, but I think ultimately it comes down to Luke Getsy and company out scheming the Commanders, being able to get it done with Justin Fields, mixing and matching that play action pass, screens, draws, getting that defensive line off balance. So I got the edge, Justin Fields and company, and them going to what is that, 4-1 or 5-1?
I got you. We got you at 4-1 right now.
4-1,
We
four
got
and one.
we got a loss to the loss to the Kansas City
Yep.
Chiefs. And man, you just brought up something really interesting where I think, and we all can admit that when they lost 12-7 on the 1/8 inch yard line to
Right.
Darnell Mooney last year, I think that was not only rock bottom for the offense, but it's probably rock bottom for Luke Getsy's young career as a play caller. And we were criticizing him, I think, the week after in a very, very healthy way of like, look, like, I mean, come on, man. We all know that there's so much more in there. And now you're heading into a following year. We get a chance to play them again. And I hear you on the defensive line, but still, I don't see any offensive weapons on the Commanders right now. And I see this as a bounce back for Luke Getsy. I think the offense will be in better shape. And I'm picking a win too as well. Interesting one heading into the very next week. Back to the NFC North, but hosting again at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Corey, man, I want you to go first on this one. What do you think happens in this game? Who wins this game?
I think this is a win for the Bears, especially at home. I think they lose on the road later in the season. It's a tough place to play in that dome in Minnesota, but I think this is one where usually at home, when the defense can stop the run, they're able to get after Kirk Cousins, right? I think we're going to add some defensive linemen. I think we're going to add some ends and edge pressure, and we're really going to be able to dial it up with the linebacking core. So I think this is one where we fluster Kirk Cousins early. We were able to knock out that run, and hey, I wouldn't mind doubling Justin Jefferson in this game, right? Take him out the
Please.
ball game. That's what teams were doing towards the end of the season. That's what the Giants did. They were able to contain him. I mean, ultimately, right? He's the guy that can beat you. Kirk Cousins struggles at times. The Bears get the dub.
Just real quick with the Minnesota Vikings trading Zadarius Smith. What's your take on that? That's a bit of your corner. Is that really a cost cutting move? Did you see him take a step back as a player? Does this take the Minnesota Vikings defense as a whole a step back? What's your take on that trade in general?
Yeah, I was surprised because you had him and Danielle Hunter that were both the bookends there. They were able to garner that pressure, and then you trade them away. It probably came down to cap hit. They were spending too much money, and I think that's ultimately coming. But it's hard to come by good pass rushers that can get double-digit sacks, and I think they traded away a good one.
Yeah, so I also have them as a win here too as well. Now, look, when we played the Minnesota Vikings last year, there was times, what was it? Kirk Cousins started 20 for 20. I think at
Yep.
one point it was 19 for 19, something like
That was
that.
at
Look,
their home, right? I
that was
believe.
that was in Minnesota. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and we're gonna get to that one a little bit later, and maybe that's a tease of how I feel about that game. But the law of averages says that's not gonna happen again.
Yep.
And I'm also going with a victory here at home. I think this is a great opportunity again against an NFC North opponent. Take care of business at home, riding high a little bit off of that Washington game, and I got that as a victory right there, Corey. So I got them. You got them at 5-1. I got them at 4-2. Just really quick, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields. Um, is that can we say that's advantage Justin Fields, or are we just kind of calling that a wash a little bit right now? Just because, look, I'm not scared when I play Cousins, but look, the guy has done it for a long time.
Yeah.
So where are you on that one?
Yeah, I would say that's a wash, especially in the regular
Yeah.
season early on. He is a wonder, right? He would light it up with numbers, just like every other season, right? His regular season stats are unbelievable. In the playoffs, he struggles. So I think in this one, it's pretty much a watch. It comes down to the defense. Which defense plays better, right? I think there's some games where Justin Fields is really going to have the advantage, but I think in this game, it comes down to the defense. Who could really stop the talented playmakers, right? You got DJ Moore and company, and then also Justin Jefferson on the other side. So I think it's going to be the battle of who can contain the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and so we both got him picking up a win here, which is great because honestly, this is the part where it kind of enters a little bit into, I guess we're going to call it the more difficult part of the schedule for the Chicago Bears. They then stay at home. They host the Oakland Raiders the next week. Excuse me, the Las Vegas Raiders. Jeez, drink for that one. Good Lord. Corey, man, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I got this one actually as a loss at home.
Yeah, I do too.
Week 7, I still think Jimmy G is healthy enough. Devontae Adams scares me. Josh Jacobs, the reigning NFL rushing leader last year, lot to prove. I got this one as a loss.
Yeah, I got this as a loss too. I think Jimmy G has historically played well in Chicago, right, against the
Yeah.
Bears.
Yes.
The talented playmakers in company, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfro, those guys. I think there's all the weapons there. I think their defense is really talented. Max Crosby and company. I think this is gonna be a tough one. I think this is one of those games that on paper it looks like the Bears should win, but they're coming high off a couple wins, especially a big win against Minnesota, which I had that pick. And I think this is one they drop it here in a tough one. And I think every loss is a learning experience, right? You learn about what you did well, what you didn't do well, and how to rally back. And I think that's the mark of a good team. Sometimes you got to take your medicine while you can, and then move on to the next game.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of hate this too because I'm not a big fan of Josh McDaniels as a coach. But at that particular juncture in the season, I am also going lost too as well. They stay with the AFC West, but they travel out to LA at SoFi Stadium for Sunday Night Football. Bears at Chargers. Corey, look, I'm going to say it again. I'm also got this one as a loss too as well, but I think this is going to be a wildly, wildly entertaining game. What say you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a loss too. Justin Herbert, he's dialed up at home. He's kind of banged up last year and he's still putting up numbers. I think it's a tough one anytime you go over there. He's one of the rising stars in this league. I think he has the edge on Justin Fields in this one, especially playing at home. So I got this one as a loss. I think they're going to struggle a little bit, containing these receivers on the road in a hostile place to play.
Yeah, so you got them dropping to 5-3. That means the Bears have lost 2 in a row. We're freaking out. Everyone's calling in the radio stations, screaming at God knows what, Eberflus, whatever. And just to be fair, in the Chargers game, edge we're giving Justin Herbert at this particular time, quarterback wise. And Raiders, I still have that kind of as a wash if Jimmy G's playing in that game, based on really everything that you just kind of said. And look, I just can't definitively put it out there that Justin Fields is the better quarterback in that game. But following that loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, they then traveled to the New Orleans Saints to play a game in New Orleans, typically a really tough place to play. Corey, I'm going with a W on this one. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. Is Alvin Kamara playing football this year? I mean, I get that they have Chris Olave, but that's kind of it from the receiving core. Derek Carr, sure. I don't know. I like the Bears' chances in this game. I went with a W. What say you?
Yeah, I got a W too. Usually it's New Orleans is a tough place to play in that dome. They get it rocking. But I'm not a firm believer in Derek Carr. I think in my opinion, I think he's pretty overrated. I think he turns the ball over too many times. Like that's my biggest pet peeve with him. And I think this Bears defense, they're going to get takeaways, right? You look at how the secondary played last year. It's only going to go up from there. They added Stevenson and company. Now Gordon can be on the slot, so I think he's going to be more effective. I think they're going to confuse Derek Carr with some blitzes. I think they're really going to be able to get after him. I think this is a 2 turnover game, 2 interception game for the Bears secondary. And I think Justin Fields has the edge in this one. I think he has a strong performance, maybe a couple touchdowns to DJ Moore, maybe even Cole Kmet in the red zone. That would be huge right there. Yeah, I got the Bears winning this one.
Yeah, and possibly a game where we can maybe get some sacks, pick up some sacks against
Exactly.
Derek Carr because the dude doesn't really like to get hit anymore, trying to get the ball out of the pocket. So yeah, you got him at 6-3 right now. Moving on, very tasty matchup. Another Thursday night football game that you're going to want to get onto your DVR. Bears hosting the Carolina Panthers. Look, Corey, I'm curious to hear what you think about this one because, I mean, I'm a little skeptical whether Bryce Young will actually be involved in this game by that time. I
Mhm.
mean, look, I don't wish ill health upon anyone, but I do understand the punishing aspects of the NFL game.
Mhm.
So I can't 100% say who's going to be the quarterback for the Panthers by this point. Um,
Yeah.
Bears Panthers, what do you got in this one?
I got the Bears winning this one. I think Carolina's still in full rebuild mode. I think they're similar to what the Bears were last year. I think Bryce Young will have his ups and downs. I think he's going to make good decisions for the most part. But the thing is, once you heat up a rookie quarterback, I think he's going to struggle a little bit in this game. I think he'll make some good throws here or there, but I think the Bears defense is going to get after him. I think a couple turnovers right here. I think Justin Fields will shine in this one. And I think this is one like, hey, you gave us the number 9 pick. You gave us another first round, and we get the dub on you this year. So I think this is a big win.
Yeah, and I you've said this before, and I always try and remind myself too as well. Rookies on the road, it's never easy. Doesn't matter what the matchup
So
is. It could be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Rookies on the road is a learning curve that is unexpected, and I have to put that into account with the Panthers. And just really quick too, don't you think there's a tiny little bit of Justin Fields too as well, kind of saying to himself like to prove to everyone at this point now the Bears are 7-3, so they're rocking and rolling. But he wants to
yeah,
put it on Bryce Young, right? I mean,
oh
just
yeah.
kind of a little bit to be like, the Bears are sticking with me. They almost maybe they thought about possibly trading and keeping this guy. I'm going to show everyone that they made the right choice. Is there a little tiny part of that in the athlete's mind?
I think so. I think he's a competitor, and he's seen so much criticism, even despite the great year he had. Right? Obviously, the touchdown numbers don't blow you away, but his production and playmaking ability was out of this world. I think it's the best playmaking ability by a quarterback probably since Michael Vick, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. So I think this year when he can actually drop back and utilize what he's good at, what he was drafted for, to be more of a pocket passer. Yes, he's an athlete. Yes, he can make things happen. But that is not sustainable for an NFL quarterback. Look how Justin Fields broke down toward the end of the season, right? Hip flexor, his hamstring, his ribs, his shoulder, all this stuff, right? That is not sustainable to run like he did last year. So I think we're going to see a different Justin Fields this year. We're going to see a guy that can drop back, read the progressions. Because why? Because he has a better offensive line. He has 2 dominant guards. He has 2 really good tackles at this point. Braxton Jones got stronger this offseason. And all of a sudden, everything is a little bit slower this year for Justin Fields. Why? Because he's another year in the system. He's another year wiser. He's more comfortable in this. And I think we're really going to see Justin Fields flourish. And I'm telling you, Joey, I really think there's going to be a lot of people that are surprised that were doubting him, that didn't think he could be an NFL quarterback. He's going to surprise a lot of people. Eberflus and Ryan Poles, they really put the plan together to surround him with talent. And at this point, like I said earlier, no excuses at this point, right? All the criticism, if he doesn't play well, it's warranted, right?
Yeah.
Because you put all the pieces to put him in a position to succeed. So I'm looking forward to it. I know Bears fans, I know you are. So it's going to be a great season. So what do we got now? So we
So
got
I got you.
Detroit.
I got you at 7-3.
Hmm.
Thursday night football. Bears then get what is it? 10 days off
Hmm.
to take on the Detroit Lions in Detroit.
L.
10 a.m. start. I'm with you. L.
Yeah.
I think this is
Yep.
the first
Especially.
one where we're riding high, right? We're a young Bears team. And if you think you got them at 7-3 right now, we're riding in and we're saying, hey, this is
Yeah.
a big opportunity. But I see a roadblock here.
Yeah, 7-4 at this point, just because after a bye, teams historically, it doesn't matter if you're the Chiefs or not, teams usually struggle after the bye week, right? Just because there's so much time off, people go on vacation, they're off their routine, and yeah, I think this is one. that they split, just like with Minnesota. I think
Yeah.
at Minnesota's home and at Detroit's home, they get the losses, and at home at Soldier Field they get the dub. So this one is a loss. Detroit's a good football team. I mean, they showed that last year. Dan Campbell and company, Jared Goff is another year in the system. He played really well last year. Aiden Hutchinson has another year under his belt. They're putting all the pieces to the puzzle in Detroit. I really like what they're building because they've been bad for so long. They're on the rise right now. So the last time they've been like this was Jim Caldwell was the head coach. I like what they're building there. It's good to see, because a lot of people have been down on Detroit for a while, and I know their fans are excited. And it's good for the NFC North have to have arguably be the worst team, in the preseason coming into the season.
Yeah.
It's a good sign for that. So yeah, this is one that's a loss for me.
Agree with everything you said. Should Lions fans calm down just a little bit? Yes. Two things can be true at the same time. All right. You guys haven't won a playoff game in 28 years. So let's just get there, and then we can go from there. I'm with you, though. I think this is a loss, and I'm just going to rattle it right off. I mean, they head to Minnesota the very next week for Monday Night Football. I also have that as a loss, Corey,
Yeah.
which takes them. Do you also have that as a loss too, as well, to bring them to 7-5? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, have them as 7-5. Yep. At this point, yeah, Minnesota is a tough place to play. I feel like historically they play really well, especially when that skull horn is going on. They get rocking in there, and yeah, I think this is one where the offense struggles a little bit, and like you said, you need to use this as a learning lesson, how to play on the road, how to adapt to that silent count. So this will be a good one, but ultimately a loss.
So at that point, they go on bye. At long last, they finally get a bye week. Again, a late bye week for the Chicago Bears. I believe it's going to be week 13 at that point. And I think at that point, with a couple of losses under their belt, both versus NFC North opponents, we're probably going to be doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of talking. Can they do it? Can they take care of business? And Corey, I mean, I think this is kind of the turning point in the season, personally, for the Chicago Bears, whether they want to stay in that Kornacki graphic of in the hunt for the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
And I think coming off of this bye, they host the Detroit Lions again that very next week at home in Soldier Field. I'm calling this a win. I think the Chicago Bears get off and bounce back. I think they split versus the Lions this year. It's going to be a really tight game. They were tight last year, and I think they win. What say you on this one?
Yeah, I think they win, especially at home. They play well against the Lions at home, so I think this is a win. I think they're upset that they lost the other one to them, but I think ultimately, like I said, they split between the Vikings and the Lions. I think Justin Fields is going to have a bounce back game. They're all going to be recovered from that bye week, and they're going to be able to perform and get the dub at this point.
So we're moving on. This one's tough, man. I don't know how to feel about this next one. They go to Cleveland, random AFC North matchup to play the Cleveland Browns. This is a House of Horrors game, right? No one wants to talk about the Matt Nagy game when Justin Fields made his first road start and looked terrible. The game plan was awful. I want to see, well, where are you leaning on this one right now? Because
I think this one's going to be a loss, especially Deshaun Watson. He's removed from all that drama and everything. Obviously, he did what he did, and he got penalized for it. But I think ultimately people aren't buzzing about it. It's not a topic of conversation anymore. I think he bounced back this season. I think he proves that he is still a top quarterback in this league. And I think especially at Cleveland with the dog pound, how they've been good. Obviously last year they weren't as good, but in the previous years they get that place rocking.
Mm-hmm.
I have this one as a loss.
I love Nick Chubb, man. I think he's a fantastic running back. His lower half is just it's quite a marvel. He's a very strong man. And that's the other thing. He tries to get stronger each and every single year. I also have this as a loss. So we got 3 games left, Corey. I'm at 7-7. You're at 8-6 right now. Here we go, baby. It's Cardinals at home, Falcons at home, Packers on the road.
Yeah.
Here we go, man. I mean, Cardinals at home. What you got for this one?
I got this as 3-0, Joey.
I do too. I do too. So I got them
3-0.
winning. I got them. So after they lose back to back to the Lions and the Vikings, they go on a bye week, and I got them winning 4 out of their last 5, dude. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's what I got them, man. I think they're going to finish with 11 wins this season. I think it'll be a great season, and Listen, people could say what they want, having the Bears at 10 or 11 wins, but I think it's very believable, especially how they've revamped this offense. They're going to be night and day offensively in the run game, rush defense. They're going to be light years ahead of what they were last year, right? The big question mark is the pass rush, but as long as they can stop the run, they could be able to dial up some blitzes with the linebackers, and hopefully after these next cuts, the June designation will maybe be able to pick up some of these pass rushers that might be released from a team because of a cap hit or whatnot. So, yeah, I think they're going to finish with 10 or 11 wins. That was kind of my when we're going through this, that's kind of what I had in mind. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's definitely possible. Who knows? The Bears could shock the world and maybe win some of these games we had as losses or vice versa. You never know. That's why they play the games every week. But
Yeah,
from what
it's
we have right now, I think that's a pretty good. I could see anywhere from 9 to 11 wins for sure this season.
and look, here's the deal, Bears fans. All right, I can see the comments right now. You got to be out of your mind. Everything. So a couple things. One, and this is irrefutable. One, they just did the numbers. We have one of the most rested. We're going to be one of the most rested teams with days off in terms of traveling schedule
Mhm.
that the Chicago of any other team in the NFL right now. Odds makers in Vegas love that, by the way. And we're 7.5 wins right now over under. So it's not like we're like that far ahead of our skis. Second of all, we're a top 5 easiest schedule per the wins
Yep.
and losses of last year. If you kind of look at this right here, there's nothing that gets too crazy where we go on the road for some sort of long stretch or something maybe comes at a wrong time. We get the Chiefs early, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And then this last game schedule, you're telling me that the Cardinals right now are going to be trucking out Kyler Murray coming off an ACL in December in Chicago for what? They
Yep.
want the number 1 pick. They want a top pick next year. You're telling me
Yep.
Desmond Ritter is going to be better than Justin Fields in that game playing at home? I mean, come on. And then finally, I just kind of like us with all that momentum beating the Packers at home, and I like sweeping the Packers. So forgive me. Maybe that's
Exactly.
my bareness in there. But what we're trying to say is that look, it's out there for this Chicago Bears team to be over 500 to possibly be in the playoff picture even after a 3-14 team. If they don't go out and do that next year, we can rightfully sit here and healthily criticize where they're coming up short and where maybe this team maybe needs to continue to improve to get to a Super Bowl level. I don't think either of us are saying they're winning the Super Bowl, but we're saying with
No.
this schedule right here, it is sitting out there for the Chicago Bears to be an above 500 team. Justin Fields takes the next step and things start to get really interesting. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so I think this season, if Justin Fields does me and you think he will do, right, with the weapons, being able to elevate himself as a drop back passer, improve those passing statistics, improve the red zone production, limit his carries, right, be able to take what
Yes.
the defense gives him when it's necessary, but not to rely on his feet, right, and then get the running game going, really establish that run, work the play action off it, be able to stop the run. They are probably a season or two if Justin Fields can elevate his game to, like, we think, a season or two from competing for a playoff run for a Super Bowl. I think really 2 more seasons after this. I think
Yeah.
I think they'd be ready. I think they're a couple pass rushers away, right, to really revamp that defensive line, right? Really get a talented three technique
Mhm.
and 2 really good edge rushers. I think at that point, that's when they take the next step because you look at all the teams that win the Super Bowl, right, or have a Super Bowl run like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? That if I'm the Bears, I'm trying to build my franchise like them. They've done all the right things. You look at how they drafted this past year, literally getting Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round, right? To
Yeah.
add to the talented defensive line. So that's how you win games with those talented offense and defensive lines. And that's what Philly's been able to do. And that's what Chicago needs to do. And I know they didn't have all the picks and all the capital to be able to do everything this year. But next year is a
We got
very
him
big,
next year. Yeah.
yeah, is a very big year, right? Because they have 2 first rounders
Yep.
that they can get some talented edge rushers. And I think they're a season or two away from really competing for a long playoff run and potentially a Super Bowl 2 years from now.
Yeah, and if you really want to put your foot on the gas, you go out there maybe around draft time next year and you shop around that 2025 second round Carolina Panthers pick. And that Corey is a legitimate player. I don't know if you can get
Exactly.
a top notch star maybe for that particular value, but I'm telling you, man, you get a pretty nice player, maybe some sort of disgruntled wide receiver X, Y, and Z. That
Mhm.
also can help you out too as well. Maybe cash in because you will have the capital next year maybe cash in some of that future capital. There's a lot of flexibility there. So Corey,
Yeah,
just
there
before
is.
we go, speaking of flexibility, I just wanted to ask you really quick. You've been mentioning the defensive line. What are they going to do? They need to add to that room a little
Yeah.
bit. We got June cuts coming up in just a couple of weeks. I believe it's June 3rd is when you can start cutting some players, shedding some salary. How do you kind of see this playing out? Ryan Poles has said in multiple different interviews, we have flexibility. If we see something financially, we can go out, we can do it.
Mhm.
We're going to do everything we can, trade, acquisition, to maybe beef up that room.
Yeah.
Do you have a guy that you like a whole lot? What do you see them doing? Is
I
it
got
one
two
guy?
guys.
Is it two guys? Yeah, lay it on us right now. What do you want to
I
see?
got
What
two
needs to
guys
do?
that are both free agents right now. Frank Clark is one of them that Ryan Poles is familiar with from his time in Kansas City. Right? I think he's a little overhyped for what he wants in the market. I think he wants more than he's worth. But when it comes down to a veteran guy that has pass rush ability, he hasn't always put up the numbers in the regular season, but in the postseason, he really performs. And I think in this Bear system where he's going to be the guy for at least a year, it's a win-win for him, right? Because if he has a double-digit year, he's going to get paid by whoever, right? At
Yep.
this point, because pass rushers are hard to come by. And then Yannick Ngakoue, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. From
I've heard it like five. I've heard it
from
5 different ways. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, he is coming from free agent from I think the Colts, I believe.
he's been on 5 teams in the
Yeah,
last 6
yeah.
years. So again,
But
also
but
too, former
over his NFL,
Jaguar, former
yeah,
Colt. Yeah.
over his NFL career, he's averaged like 7.5 sacks a year. So he's a guy that I'm not expecting him to play the run. I'm not expecting that. But in situational pass rush, I'm putting him in there. If we get him and Frank Clark and you have them on the edges, you kick DeMarcus Walker inside at the three technique. You have Justin Jones in there or Dervon Dexter or Zach Pickens, and you have them in there. And that's your NASCAR rush package at that point. You need pass rush. You need edge rushers. And I think Frank Clark and Yannick would fill those needs, right? And I'm fine with him being a situational pass rusher. You kind of look at how O.C. Umenora was towards the end of his career, right? He really wasn't playing the run like that on the pass rush ability. And in third down, that's how you get off the field. So I wouldn't mind him being in that situation. So those are two guys I'm looking for that are available still that I think you could work it out for a deal that makes sense for both parties.
I think one is mandatory, two would be fantastic, and I think it would honestly be smart because, look, there's a lot of snaps that go around in an NFL football game and guys get hurt. You need depth. So bringing in two vets like that, I think would be a great move. Real quick, just because a lot of people, they're going to ask about it. He was in the organization, so Bears fans kind of know him, and he's a familiar name. Leonard Floyd. Fit, no fit. If the price is right, what do you think about if the Bears were to possibly look about bringing him in?
I wouldn't mind it at all. I feel like he's really developed as a pass rusher when he left. It's just like I wonder. He's kind of been that hybrid type that stands up a little bit, puts his hand in the dirt. But I think in this Tampa 2 scheme, I think he could really flourish at that right end. I feel like since he left the Bears, he's really established himself as a more dominant pass rusher. That's something that he kind of lacked for being such a lean guy. He played the run extremely well and wasn't pass rushing well for the Bears. So I think he's established himself as a pass rusher. So I wouldn't mind taking a look at him. You know, if we can get any of those three guys, Leonard Floyd, Frank Clark, Yannick, just for the pass rush ability, you can get anybody to play the run, Joey. It's really about pass rush production. And the Bears had 7.5 sacks as a defensive line. Our Brisker, I believe, led the team in sacks. So I think he is telling you everything you need to know, while Philly had 4 guys in double digits.
You have to believe that even when Robert Quinn wasn't putting up major numbers last year, he was at least people were putting
Attention.
eyeballs on him, right? And when you say, "Oh, Dom Robinson gets a sack and a half in week 1," you have to think some of that has to do with a veteran presence on the other side, taking some of that space a little bit. Yeah, as you said, some of that attention. And the Bears just kind of need that. They need someone out there that can produce and also take away some of that attention so the young guys can kind of grow and get up. That's going to do it for Believe in Bears. Believe Sports Network, right here in Sports Talk Chicago. Comment and question below. Make sure you like the video. Tell all of your friends. Thank you for listening on SiriusXM or wherever you get your podcast. I'm Joey Christopoulos. You can follow me at Joey Sports Guy. Former Bears defensive end Corey Wootton. Follow him at Corey Wootton. 2 O's, 2 T's. Get it right. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. Be well, be safe, be good to each other. Corey, take us home on a great podcast, man. Great to see you. And congratulations, man. Have a wonderful weekend, dude. I'm so happy and proud for you. The endeavor is going to be fantastic. And all the East Coasters listening, take a trip, please. Just take a trip.
Yeah.
Take a trip and get some swings in.
Yeah, you got to. I'm going to get a lot of swings before the opening because, I'm going to be
Make
there
it look
Thursday, all of Friday. My back's going to be killing me. My arm's going to be hurting, but it's going to be worth it, man. So, yeah, come out and check out the simulator. But another good pod. Schedule release, we had to talk about that, wins and losses. And I know some people in the comments listening to this might say, hey, you guys are absolutely insane for 10, 11 wins. I said it from the beginning. I think 9 to 11 wins when I first saw that schedule, somewhere around there. I think 11, and it could end up being more depending on how this offense develops, what pieces they add on the defensive line. I think that's the biggest question mark right now. How Braxton Jones does at the left tackle. Did he get stronger? Is he going to be like David Bakhtiari from year 1 to year 2? All these pieces to the puzzle. How is it going to add up? All I know, though, is they put the pieces to the puzzle for Justin Fields to succeed. There's no excuses at this point, Joey, right?
Yes.
All the criticism, if he does not perform well, it's warranted at this point, right? So we're going to see what he's made of. I think he has what it takes to be an elite quarterback. There were teams that would have killed for Justin Fields, last year, right? I think he's somebody you can build your franchise on. He's a competitor. He's going to get it done. And he's going to prove to everyone that he can be a pocket passer. He can read defenses. He's not just a running back like Shady McCoy said. So I think this is going to be a huge year for the Bears. And tune in. We're going to be breaking it down. If there's any more moves, any noteworthy stuff, we're going to continue to give you the breaking Bears news as it happens. So we're excited, for this offseason and what else comes with it. So it's going to be an interesting Bears season. And I know every year it seems like we're excited for this, but I think this year is really the turning point because I think we finally got our franchise quarterback, and that's something the Bears have never had, right? Arguably the best quarterback was Jay Cutler, right? You know how that went, right? It was up and down, but I think we really have a franchise quarterback that you can build this team around in Justin Fields, and I think Bears fans are going to see that this year. So looking forward to it, and like you always say, be well, be safe, and bear down, baby.
Success is out there. This team's just got to go out there and grab it. That's why we're going to be so excited to bring you great content here on Believe in Bears all summer long. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I agree with my co-host. Bear down. We'll be back.